Hello everybody, it's your boy Hawka. The Counter-Strike Scholar is back, this time taking a look at Rush's immense impact on Mirage. Before we get into the video, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers by the end of the year, so check if you're subscribed, and if you're not, go ahead and hit that button for me. Thank you very much. And secondly, this is a game that Rush played back at Blast against G2, where I noticed he had a ton of impact with almost every kill he got. So I decided to take a look at his POV to see just how much impact he had on this map. We're starting in the second round where Rush throws this mid smoke, and it's quite common for Rush to throw these smokes early in the round because oftentimes he's going to be running in first, so he'd rather use his nades early in the round so that he doesn't have them alive when he's going in on some of these entries. And then Rush goes ahead and holds A ramp alone while Complexity close in from connector, and eventually he decides to take the fight, which goes pretty damn well for him. Despite pre-aiming stairs, he adjusts really nicely, and even though these are extended fights, he does a great job at getting one kill as well as some damage, and this helps the Complexity players close in from connector and win the round. Not bad to start this game. Something that's going to become blindingly obvious throughout this demo is the amount of different spots and roles Rush has to take depending on what the team want him to do. If you've seen Rush play before, you know he's willing to be a soldier for the squad, and so in this round, he's having to awkwardly hold the flank between Palace and B aggression to begin with. This isn't really a role that Rush plays that often on this team, but he does a solid job at it, hearing the steps on this flank and getting a really fast time to kill against this FAMAS to make sure it can't do any damage. Into round 5, and once again, Rush is using quite a few of his nades early into the round. He's got one of those similar smokes for mid to begin with, before also using a flash and molly in the B apartments, just to make sure he's 100% safe to get up closer to the site and be ready for a fast contact play onto B. With G2's nades being low, they don't have the same ability to use counter utility to slow Rush down, so once he throws this final flashbang and starts entering the site, he's able to stay in control of the situation, clear out this bomb site, get an opening kill onto it, and put his team in a great position to win this round. Again, nothing too fancy here, but you're seeing just how impactful these kills from Rush can be, because Complexity only need 2 kills to win this round outright. Into the follow-up round, we get an early nade set from Rush, including a flash, smoke, and molly to pressure the B apartments. And he uses this smoke as cover while waiting to see if G2 are going to give him any fights. Complexity end up losing a bunch of fights at mid while this is happening though, and once they go down into a 2v5, Rush realizes this is from a boost over on short, and also realizes he has to take a calculated risk really at this point to win this round. So he decides to solely focus on short, hoping that both players are there and that there are only 2 players on the B site. And he's right in his assumption. He's able to force these fights as G2 are rotating back to the site, which is much more awkward for G2 than it would be otherwise. And he gets his team onto the B bomb site. Even if they don't win this round, it's another one where Rush doesn't really put a foot wrong. Even in the rounds where Rush does go down early or get picked off in the B apartments, oftentimes it doesn't really feel like he's made a mistake. For example, in this round, Rush is going to pressure the B apartments, which he loves to do, even when they're not always going to be pushing B, just to keep G2 honest on this side of the map. So he has a flashbang ready just to try and take apartments control and stop any aggression, which unfortunately doesn't end up blinding G2, but you can see the ideas and the awareness is there. Into round 8, we get more early nade usage from Rush, and here's another example of him using some of these early nades over at the B apps. This flashbang blinds Amanek enough where he wants to take a shot with the AWP, and this is always valuable information to have as to where there is an AWP from the CT side, and you can potentially figure out who's playing where, or even if you're up against a double AWP setup, which is always nice. And then from here, Rush goes back to Palace, and it's these sorts of positions where it's clear Rush is going to have to be the first man in. Alongside the more passive JKS and the AWP of Poison, Rush has to run in first through Palace with no real nades to help him, but he's still able to path successfully and find an opening kill. He's obviously a bit lucky here that G2 aren't looking his way, but even going 1-for-1 in this position provides immense value and is Rush exceeding his expectations. Obviously, these entries aren't always going to be this successful, especially because Complexity seem to be a team who generally use pretty basic utility from what I've seen. And you get an example of that in this round. Just a couple of standard nades being thrown, and Rush comes close but can't win this opening fight onto the site. Another day, another tough entry route for Rush, this time onto the B site. This fast play with flashes seems especially effective because G2 don't seem to anticipate Rush beating this molly so fast. So even though they hear it getting extinguished, they kind of fumble with their nades a bit, and Rush is just able to beat them out through the window, which was a risk. If they had their guns out, he might have gone down, but he's willing to take that risk for the cause, and it gets him 2 entries onto the site. Again, you can't understate how much impact this is having. Getting 2 entries onto B site Mirage with full nades left for your teammates is basically a round win the majority of the time. As for Rush's CT-sided performance, he is the B-site anchor on Mirage. And I love how here in the second round after losing the pistol, Rush is absolutely willing to solo play B with just a Deeg and a smoke. With the idea being, if he spots anyone, he can just put this smoke down defensively, try and stall, try and buy time, and see if you can get some kills in the close range fights. And if they don't come B, he's allowing his teammates to stack towards the A site, which ends up helping tremendously in this round because Complexity's A stack ends up working out for them, and Rush eventually even gets to rotate over to get his own piece of the pie as he gets the final kill in this round. You love to see it. I also really like how here in round 20 against a fast B play, Rush is able to hear the steps early, watch this window angle to begin with, but then he slides to the right as he sees this player jumping out of window to try and make sure this is just a 1v1 fight and make sure he doesn't get ganged up on. And then this second shot onto Nico is simply stellar. Nothing else I need to say about that one. You can take that one straight to the bank because it is money. He also generally just has a really calm and composed feel to his game, especially when he's playing well. Like in this round where even though he lets the first player run past, he knows that Config can deal with that one man and that he's better off trying to cut off the other players from joining this player on the push, which he does tremendously as he gets 2 kills, cutting them down before they can get out of the apartments. Just a quick note as well, this is especially nice decision making from Rush because whenever you see the first player jumping across like this, you can be fairly certain that that man is not the main threat and he's probably just running out as a decoy to try and set up the players behind him to get the kills. So nice little decision making from Rush. And a pretty nice angle to play in general if you think you're up against pistols. Round 25 might be my personal favorite of this entire game for just how efficiently and effectively Complexity use their nades on this B side of the map. You get the early incendiary from Rush to deny any fast play into the B site. Then Complexity burn the clock a little bit before Config puts this incendiary towards the back of the apartment so that Rush can peek it. Then Rush holds the angle while Config gets up close. And now Rush is going to flash Config in so that he can get up close in the apartments and plop a smoke down with low time remaining. This is where it gets really nice though, because Config doesn't stay in the apartments. Instead, he lets Rush get up close because Rush still has another smoke in his back pocket to buy even more time on this B side of the map. And while Complexity are using all their nades at B to buy all this time, JKS has pushed in Palace and got them all the information they need. That's why Rush decides he can afford to play safe with such little time left on the clock because Config still has some counter nades at the ready. And once the push begins, this flashbang is on point to set Rush up for the first kill. The Molotov arrives, and at this point, it's another easy kill for Rush, and yet another round where Rush may only get 2 kills, but you can see just how impactful those frags are. And then this final round is one where Rush just generally uses standard nades to begin with so that he can get up onto the apartment safely. Smoke goes down, and he cleans up 3 really nice kills late in the game to give Complexity another round. So overall, the main thing I wanted to show here is just how impactful Rush can be with the majority of his kills. This was a game where I think he ended 23 for 18 overall, which doesn't sound like an exceptional scoreline, but I think with the amount of impact he had, for me, he was probably the most important player on the server on this specific map. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll catch you next time.